Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. So, this is the second video on Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. This one will focus more on the emerald tablets themselves because I'm going to be getting into Billy Carson's The Emerald Tablets. It's a great version of the book. It has a lot of commentary material that goes along with it, explaining it in modern scientific perspectives and approaches as well. So that's really cool. So we're just going to pick up where we left off in the last video, which we were reading The Secret Teachings of All Ages, the chapter on Hermes and Thoth. And if you have a copy of the book, I'm on page 98. I was going to try and do a YouTube live video, but what I just found out is that when you click on it, it says, oh, you're going to have to wait 24 hours, and then we'll get back with you. So that's kind of weird. Didn't know that. So hopefully I'm able to do, in a day or so, I can try to do a live stream. I think that would be fun. Have you guys on here with me, and you can ask me questions, I can ask you questions, and we can learn from each other. Okay, so the third or last paragraph on page 98, I made a note to go ahead and read that. Hermes, while wandering in a rocky and desolate place, gave himself over to meditation and prayer. Following the secret instructions of the temple, he gradually freed his higher consciousness from the bondage of his bodily senses, and thus released his divine nature, revealed to him the mysteries of the transcendental spheres. This would be like the spheres on the tree of life. When you start meditating on the manifold, the manifold layers of existence, so to speak. You're starting to see through the veil. You can see into those realms. He beheld a figure terrible and awe-inspiring. It was the great dragon, with wings stretching across the sky and light streaming in all directions from its body. The mysteries taught that the universal life was personified as a dragon. So I want to make a note here. I kind of do a more advanced version of the Kabbalistic cross than what I used to do. So now, when I kind of mentioned it before, but there's a couple layers of the Kabbalistic cross I'm going to go over now. If you are new to my channel, when I go over different subjects like Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus, whatever else I might cover on this channel, it's only natural that I'm going to bring up correspondences in ceremonial magic and how this all comes into play. So when you're doing the Kabbalistic cross, you envision your body rising above the earth, and then I envision myself rising through each planet, all the way up to Saturn. Then you get to the zodiacal belt, and you go beyond that into the astral realm, which is Yesod. Then you move up into the realm of Hod, Netzach, to Parith. Then you're moving up through the pillars of mercy and severity. You're moving up beyond that. Then you move, you've got Jachin and Boaz, or Hokmah and Bina. Hokmah on the left, Bina on the right. If you're looking out from the pillars, which is how I usually envision it, you move up through those, up to Kether. Now you're at unity consciousness. You can go even beyond Kether to the Ein Sof Or, which is the limitless light, which is even more beautiful and dazzling than Kether. And then as I move beyond Kether, I see the limitless all. It's the Ein Sof, and I see this personified as a dragon. So as it says it here in this book, I like that it mentioned this. It said it was the dragon, the great dragon, with wings stretching across the sky and light streaming in all directions from its body. So the light emanating forth from this dragon, the dragon is all potentiality. It's the all. So it's the limitless all. And it's emanating the Ein Sof, or the limitless light. And then Kether comes from that. And then even beyond the dragon is that which we can't really conceive. It's the Ein, it's the no thing. So I move all the way up towards this no thing, and the no thing is, you'll just see it as a beam of light, much like if you've seen the illustrations from Dante's in Dante's Paradiso. I don't think I'm going to pull that illustration out at the moment, but look up angels, Dante's Paradiso. You'll see like a spiral of celestial energy, It's kind of like that. It's hard for our minds to conceive that which is the immutable no thing, that which is, cannot be changed, it's fixed, yet all reality has come forth from it, from nothing. It's the spaces between that hold all the potential. That's what's so interesting about the universe we live in which modern physics and stuff is just now getting around to understanding. So let's continue with this. The great dragon called Hermes by name and asked him why he thus meditated upon the world mystery. Terrified by the spectacle, Hermes prostrated himself before the dragon, beseeching it to reveal its identity. The great creature answered that it was Poimandres. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Poimandres, the mind of the universe, personified as the universal mind, the creative intelligence, and the absolute emperor of all. And then when we think of the Empyrean heaven, that kind of brings that to mind as well. Shor identifies Poimandres as the god Osiris, so there we go. There's a connection there. But I would say that this divine force would be even beyond the archetype of Osiris. I see the Osiris as more of a Tiphareth energy. It's the sacrificial father, patriarchal energy. But that's just my own interpretation. It's the sacrifice, Osiris. That energy, that current, that Egyptian current that carries that Osirian energy. And then, of course, you have Horus, the sun. But I'm not going to get into all that right now. Hermes then besought Poimandres to disclose the nature of the universe and the constitution of the gods. The dragon acquiesced, bidding Trismegistus hold its image in his mind. So let me see what other notes I have written in here. Of course, the dragon reminds me, the Poimandres, or however you say that, Poimandres. It reminds me of Parthenax from Skyrim, the really wise dragon that used to be teamed up with Alduin, and he was actually deemed a bad dragon, quote unquote. Worked for the bad guys, but then he changed his ways and he became the hermit on top of the mountain, which actually teaches the Greybeards, which are like the druids basically. The Skyrim story is really cool. It's very occult. Let's continue. Meditation, prayer, removing his consciousness from the body. That's kind of what we read at the beginning. As magicians, we have wills on this plane still. We work in both worlds. Okay, so I did want to say something with that. As we do ceremonial magic, as we do meditation, as we work on these exercises and take our minds to the next level, we still have wills here on this plane of existence. We're working things out. That's why we're here, but we're technically operating as a magician in both worlds. We have our feet firmly planted in hell, and our consciousness is hovering above the heavens, symbolically, heaven and hell, however you want to see that. The dragon reminds me of Parthenax and Skyrim. I just told you guys that. There's a reference on page 99. Immediately the form of Poimandres changed. Where it had stood, so where the dragon was, there was a glorious and pulsating radiance. This light was the spiritual nature of the great dragon itself. Hermes was raised into the midst of this divine effulgence. I don't know how you say that. And the universe of material things faded from his consciousness. So his mind became so transmuted and so transcended that material things faded from his consciousness. And this really happens when somebody has a true transformational experience. Sometimes it takes basically dying or having a complete ego death to have a experience that's that transcendental, that it changes us on that level. But the reference I was alluding to here is this light was the spiritual nature of the great dragon itself. Hermes was raised. That should sound familiar from Master Masons. We always hear that raised metaphor. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes, that whole idea. Earth and water mingle, ? Real neat addition to the beginning of Genesis here. So it must be on page 99 still. Let me see where that's at. Presently a great darkness descended and expanding, swallowed up the light. Everything was troubled. About Hermes swirled a mysterious watery substance which gave forth a smoke-like vapor. The air was filled with inarticulate moanings and sighings which seemed to come from the light swallowed up in the darkness. His mind told Hermes that the light was the form of the spiritual universe, and that the swirling darkness which had engulfed it represented material substance. Then out of the imprisoned light a mysterious and holy word came forth and took its stand upon the smoking waters. So this is the part you have in the Bible. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So let's go ahead and read this paragraph and how it kind of goes hand in hand with the first couple lines of the Bible. Then out of the imprisoned light a mysterious and holy word came forth and took its stand upon the smoking waters. This word, the voice of the light, rose out of the darkness. So the light came from the darkness as a great pillar, and the fire and air followed after it. But the earth and the water remained unmoved below. Thus the waters of light were divided from the waters of darkness. So you have two kinds of water here, different polarities of water. And from the waters of light were formed the worlds above, and from the waters of darkness were formed the worlds below. The earth and the water next mingled, becoming inseparable, and the spiritual world, which is called reason, moved upon their surface, causing endless turmoil. It's a very interesting explanation of some hermetic things there. Reason will be what establishes truth in the midst of waters, in the midst of the waters. And of course the waters being emotion, so we have to control our emotions. There's all this emotional turmoil going on in the world. I think that's what it means by the spiritual world. The earth and water next mingled, becoming inseparable, and the spiritual word, which is called reason, moved upon their surface, causing endless turmoil. Reminding us that we have to move back towards what we energetically truly are. There's so many distractions here in the physical world. We get so caught up in things, but we have to remember what we are. We can't forget what we truly are. That which you see and hear is not of this earth. Lots of interesting things here. The nature of light and dark may be Kundalini sexual energy referenced here. I don't know if I'm still... Okay. I'll just go ahead and read the last paragraph of page 99 real quick. Then again was heard the voice of Pymanders, but his form was not revealed. I, thy God, am the light, and the mind which were before substance was divided from spirit, and darkness from light. And the word which appeared as a pillar of flame out of the darkness is the Son of God, born of the mystery of the mind. The name of that word is reason. Reason is the offspring of thought, and reason shall divide the light from the darkness and establish truth in the midst of the waters. Understand, O Hermes, and meditate deeply upon the mystery. That which in you sees and hears is not of the earth, but is the word of God incarnate. So it is said that divine light dwells in the midst of mortal darkness, and ignorance cannot divide them. The union of the word and the mind produces that mystery which is called life. As the darkness without you is divided against itself, so the darkness outside of you, without, there's without and within. As the darkness without you is divided against itself, so the darkness within you is likewise divided. Interesting. As within, so without. We have that Hermetic axiom, of course. The light and the fire which rise are the divine man, ascending in the path of the word, and that which fails to ascend is the mortal man, which may not partake of immortality. Learn deeply of the mind and its mystery, for therein lies the secret of immortality. And there's always this emphasis on guys like Hermes and teachers like him, that you have to basically awake and transcend now. It's like if you wait to do it until the cycle's over, like you're going to have a much harder time. You're going to have to go through the whole cycle again. And I have a buddy that talks about this as well. This cycle, this round, like we have to make it. We have to ascend eventually when we're ready. But it has to be soon. It can't be too long. But I think in this timeline, we're going to be all right. And everything's always transformation anyway, so it's just changing form. So the more you study all archetypes, all aspects, understand them on their primal and deepest level, I think the better off you'll be in the long run. with understanding where you'll have the consciousness to be able to choose more where you incarnate and where your energy is going. Always push for where you want your energy to go, because you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And that's where your energy will appropriately be drawn to. Okay, so now I'm on page 100 of the Secret Teachings, but I think I'm going to go ahead and take a break on the Secret Teachings of All Ages and what it has to say about Thoth and Hermes, and I'm going to jump to Billy Carson's book, because I want to get into this a little bit in this video. I thought I was going to a little bit in the last video, but as I get talking about these things in books like this, The Secret Teachings. Sorry, I just got a text message. It totally distracted my train of thought. I need to have need to be a little more disciplined sometimes. This technology. Yet it's what I need to make these videos work out, though. What I was saying, though, is the more I read books like The Secret Teachings of All Ages, I get caught up on things, and then I start ranting because it makes me think of one thing and then another thing. But sometimes I think if I don't say them in the moment, they'll just get lost. The ideas will get lost, and they may come to fruition in a different form later on. I may still be able to teach it, but sometimes I'm just drawn to talking about certain things. And there's not always a rush in these things. Like, I could sit here with probably most of you who watch this channel and just talk all day. Like, it's literally conversations about things that matter in consciousness and being genuine that really lights the fire for me. That's the lifeblood, that keeps me going. So Billy Carson, he's some kind of scientist. I could read a little bit about him he's the founder of Forbidden Knowledge. He's a host on Deep Space, a series by Gaia. So he's actually the host on that one. I have access to Gaia, so I should probably watch that. The series explores the secret space program, revealing extraordinary technologies and their potential origins. What other things is he involved in? He's co-founder of the United Family of Anomaly Hunters. Interesting. Works with some of the top anomaly hunters in the world. Their mission is to provide evidence of past and present life on Earth, as well as other celestial bodies inside our solar system. Also work to educate others about ancient technologies and their potential origins. The group is a pioneer in two new fields of science, archaeoastronomy, so it's archaeology and astronomy, and astroanthropology. It's very interesting. I mean, I knew he was like a scientist, and he's opened up these whole new branches of thinking. Billy believes that these will be offered as a college course in the not-so-distant future, so that's pretty cool. Recently, Mr. Carson earned the Certificate of Science with an emphasis on neuroscience at MIT. Interesting. He's also the CEO of First Class Space Agency based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Wow. Must have some military connections or something. Specifically, his space agency is involved in research and development of alternative propulsion systems and zero-point energy devices. So yeah, he's into some high-level shit. Not gonna lie. Pretty crazy stuff. I like the whole scientific aspect of it. I like that people are figuring out, being able to quantify the spirituality of things. But I think those of us who are true magicians, we realize that the whole universe can be literally it's like a video game controller. We can kind of control the whole thing from the internal. The whole external reality changes based on what we do to our own aura through magic and stuff. The more we cleanse our internal temple, the more we see that reflected in the outer world. And the more we're able to do positive things in the outer world. So Billy Carson, he really is like a magician on the go. He's very involved in a lot of these things. Me, I'm more the hermit type. I want to just sit and be at peace with like-minded, conscious individuals, working on myself, working on the kingdom of all ourselves, so that there is no king, there is no queen. It's just a bunch of conscious individuals who are self-reliant. They don't have to, they're not in servitude to everybody. Everybody's free. They're on the same level in the society. But with that kind of freedom comes a certain amount of consciousness. You have to understand that. You have to know how to govern thyself. There is no governing other people. You have to learn how to govern thyself. And then there have to be things put in place to protect people from harm. You can't take other people's things. You can't go in and steal, and you don't harm people. Those are the two main rules of a society. And there has to be some force of protection. But other than that, it's just one big tribe. You have to learn how to figure it out. I'll figure it all out. Everybody has their place. Everything has their place, and every place has its thing, as I like to say. So, okay, finally, the Emerald Tablets. He believes that Thoth is an alien, of course. There's this whole extraterrestrial idea about Thoth, and we've talked about that. Our Father who art in heaven, that the Lord's Prayer means our Father who art in the stars, the heavens, the canopy of the stars. There's a lot of other interesting facts in here, but I went through and highlighted the things I really wanted to read the most. Perishable tablets, so we're getting into the emerald tablets themselves here. Perishable tablets have always been susceptible to the weather and time. I should add that there are literally tens of thousands of untranslated stones in cuneiform not released in Iran and Iraq today. Tens of thousands of untranslated stones, so what knowledge could be on those? I don't know. Who knows what messages translators will unveil in the distant future. Inscriptions and precious metals, because of their value and rarity, are almost invariably the property and creation of kings and upper royalty personalities. They're always in, control of these artifacts. This brings us to discuss the difference in consistency of the precious metal used in the creation of the 10 emerald tablets of Thoth and the single emerald tablet of Hermes Trismegistus. So Thoth had 10 emerald tablets and Hermes had 1, but remember they're the same being incarnated in different timelines. Thoth is more the medieval guy, hermit dude, and Thoth was actually like the king back in Egypt, the Egyptian king. We're going to get into that. Thoth and Hermes are the same. Thoth ruled Egypt at a time that far outpaces our present understanding of precisely how old Egyptian civilization is. He ruled Egypt for 16,000 years. 16,000 years. That's a lot of time. And we hear about, stories from the Bible and other mythos where these beings were able to live longer, and we're going to get into that here real quick. So he ruled from 50,000 to 36,000 BC. That's before Christ, before Jesus. Thoth became the highest of highest priests of ancient Atlantis, trained by his own father, the master of masters of pre-Diluvian Atlantis. It's hard to find information on Thoth's father. You oftentimes hear that maybe his father is the dweller in the halls of Amenti. We're going to get into that a little bit too. This ruling occurred after the floods that devoured the ancient civilization. Thoth ascended to Earth, where he led the development of a new civilization in the northeast corner of Upper Africa, also called Kem or Egypt. In the northeast corner? That should ring a bell too, for you Masons out there. According to Dr. Doriel's translation of the tablets, there are a total of 15 emerald tablets. The emerald tablets of the Atlantean Thoth laid hidden and buried under the Great Pyramid of Giza for centuries. The date of their concealment is unknown, but we do know it was sometime after Thoth left his earthly kingship over the Egyptians. Even now, under the Great Pyramid of Giza lies an undiscovered place of otherworldly appearance and the access point to a realm referred to as the Great Halls of Amenti. For generation upon generation after the earthly departure of Thoth, specially appointed priests of Thoth performed as guardians to the hiding place of his domain. So the Halls of Amenti are interesting. It's like this place you can astrally travel to, but it's under the Great Pyramid of Giza. And a lot of people say your soul goes there when you're leaving the earth, or leaving the earth and going to the other realms, or you're coming from the other realms to the earth. There's some kind of trial or test. It's kind of like the whole idea of the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. A lot of those ideas go hand in hand with this place called the Halls of Amenti that people can astral travel to. We're going to get into a little bit more in this book. I'm just going to skim through it. We're already at 25 minutes. And then I'll probably go ahead and end this video. I may be able to do one more video after this of Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus, or I may get into Raphael. I've compiled a lot of notes about Raphael, going through all the different sources and stuff that I can to get as much information, a couple books and all the YouTube videos, just piecing together the crucial, important information and then bringing it to occult perspectives. So there will be a video on Raphael, or Raphael, however you say it, very soon. Thoth was also known as Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan with the Mayans in Central America, so he had those manifestations as well. The god told him how to find Doriel. This guy, he's an American spiritualist. How did the Emerald Tablets find their way into the possession of the American spiritualist? This guy had a revelation from Thoth. The god told him how to find the ancient Mayan pyramid housing the tablets and instructed him to recover the tablets for a modern translation. This is interesting. J.R.R. Tolkien speaks of a similar experience after his experiences in the trenches that led to his vision of the Lord of the Rings. I was thinking about that. I was wondering where that connection was coming from, but it's that's what it is. It's a very similar experience that he had. It's where he got all the ideas of Middle Earth, and you think the Agartha, in the center of the Earth. The whole idea of there's a lot of prehistory to Middle Earth, like all these beings that created all the different realms. It's all the same as the Kabbalah stuff, it's all the same, using different names and characters. Out of chaos comes order, says Thoth. To this dictum, both Doriel and Tolkien would agree. So we're at the end of the Dark Age now, the end of the Kali Yuga. So out of this darkness is going to come a crap ton of light. You better believe it. Thoth gave Doriel permission to retain a copy of his translations after making the arduous journey and delivering the tablets to the doorway of the Halls of Amenti. We can imagine Doriel taking a transport ship across the Atlantic in the mid-1920s bound for Egypt, while concealing the glistening emerald tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean. How he must have slipped surreptitiously, I can't say that, surreptitiously into the pyramid complex, under the cover of darkness, directed by the presence of Thoth to the hidden entrance. This entrance, so this is the Halls of Amenti. This entrance lay undisturbed for over 3,300 years, 3,300 years. Over 3,300 years. That's weird. So I'm not really sure what number he's trying to say there. 3,300, but then it says 100 years. I don't know. A lot of years. Since the guardian priests had left behind their temples for the mission of Thoth, now 3,300 years later, a new believer finds entry into the most secret of secret places, returning the gift to the ancient ones. When Doriel departed with his back to the pyramids, Thoth sealed the entryway, which is still unknown by any living person today. So that is quite interesting. What else do we have here? Emerald tablets they exist in a state that is unalterable, undamaged, and unchanged. In this regard, they refute the law of ionization that requires all metals to change in relation to the constant alterations of positive and negative protons. I'm going to put on some different sounds here for a second. For those of you who like the LBRP, there are a couple of LBRP meditations on YouTube, so I find that to be quite very cool. Very cool. Let's see what this one sounds like. Oh, that one's pretty similar. I don't know that you guys can hear it or not. From where I have the camera, turn it up just a hair. So the emerald tablets exist in a state that is unalterable, undamaged, and unchanged. In this regard, they refute the law of ionization that requires all metals to change in relation to the constant alterations of positive and negative protons. And I'm not going to try to really break down what that is. I'm sure if I sat there long enough and broke that down, refute the law of ionization. And I forget what the definition of ionization is. I'm not like a scientist, so I have to like search again, as Jordan Maxwell would say, replenish the earth. He always refers to that in the Genesis as well. But I would have to research what that word means. It requires the metals to change in relation to the constant alterations of positive and negative protons. So the positive and negative protons are constantly altering. I don't know what they're getting at the end of that. But anyway, so it's an immutable substance, the emerald tablets. That's what you need to know. They can't really be destroyed in any typical way by the elements or anything like that. I don't know if you could blow them up. I don't know if that would work or not. The shimmering emerald gleams, which with the symbols of the ancient Atlantean language containing characters that respond to attuned thought waves. I thought this was interesting. So the tablets respond to your thought waves, like they have some kind of psychic connection with you. That's very interesting. Releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. Thoth built the Great Pyramid of Egypt to serve a twofold function. When he decided to return to the halls of Amenti, he built the Great Pyramid of Egypt to serve a twofold function. Firstly, to safeguard the emerald tablets, and secondly, to serve as the hidden entrance to the halls of Amenti. Thoth says that beneath the Great Pyramid stands the doorway to the underworld where the Master of Masters dwells. We will learn more about the halls of Amenti shortly. I think the Master of Masters is the dweller. So, I guess I did highlight quite a bit of stuff in this book. How far back did I go? I don't know. We may not even get through this whole book today, everything that I have highlighted. We're at 33 minutes already. So yeah, I'm just going to read a couple more pages and then I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And there will probably be a third video for Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. I'm going to have to make it a whole playlist now. I'll put it in its own playlist rather than the ceremonial magic playlist. Although I do talk about magic in this video, these couple videos a little bit, not to the extent that I do in other videos. So I'll make it its own playlist. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up these couple pages right here, and then I'll end the video. Okay, I'm going to rewind here a little bit. Upon leaving Egypt for an interlude of rest, Thoth entrusted his pyramid priests to keep the doorway and the tablets hidden until otherwise instructed. The tablets they were assigned to protect are the same emerald tablets that in modern time Maurice Doreal discovered in 1925 at the instruction of Thoth. Until then, they stayed hidden for thousands of years. As I mentioned, around 1200 BC, there was such unrest in Egypt, as well as throughout the entire civilized world, that Thoth worried for the safety of the tablets. Yet he saw an opportunity to spread the logos of the tablets to Atlantean colonies throughout other far-reaching places of the world. Recently, a new book has become popular detailing this great collapse of civilizations, ending what historians have labeled as the Bronze Age. 1177 BC, the year civilization collapsed, is the name of it, by Eric Klein. Examination of Egypt and surrounding kingdoms. From this chaos, Thoth followed his commissioned priests, and during the next 1,000 years, his teachings manifested through him and equally through the Greek god Hermes. Hermes appears as the Nomer, the thrice great, evolves a body of literature called the Hermetic Corpus. So this is way after the Thoth manifestation. This is the Hermes incarnation. In addition to teaching knowledge, wisdom, and immortality, it also provides instruction in alchemy, astrology, and magic. This all sounds very kind of Masonic. You got the 7 liberal arts and sciences idea going on there. Keep in mind, all references to the emerald tablet of Hermes Trismegistus refer to a single tablet made of emerald with the same impenetrable consistency as the original emerald tablets. As the same tablet, so it's made of the same stuff. Also, the Brotherhood of the White Temple. It's an institute of ancient studies founded by somebody named Dr. Doriel. Oh, okay, that's the guy that we've been talking about this whole time. Doriel. He's the one that received the emerald tablets and translated them. So it's almost kind of like the whole like Joseph Smith idea with the Mormons, like they translated those tablets. But the emerald tablets is goes way far back in antiquity. The whole Mormon plates, the plates of Moroni, that's got to be a much more, that's way more recent, like a more recent history. But Mormonism and like what they actually believe about the golden tablets and stuff and the translation of those, the whole seer stone Joseph Smith thing, if you have not heard of that, you should definitely look into that. Check out Damien Eccles' video on that. Another guy I've been watching lately is Joseph Curtis, too. I really like his YouTube channel. He's got some really good insights. For those who are truly looking to take their occult journey and like who they are, basically, if you're looking to evolve to the next level of the game, go check him out. I'm more of a research guy. I do talk some magic on here, about walking the magic's path, but I'm also like a library. I just bring a lot of knowledge together and then communicate it in the way that I see it from my perspectives, and hopefully that helps some of you, like some of the the gears in your brain start to click. That way you'll start to understand this stuff maybe a little bit better than you did before. Or if you're like me and you're kind of alone in the beginning, you were confused, hopefully this channel helps to dispel a lot of confusion that you might have about the magical path in general. So this Brotherhood of the White Temple, it's actually still functioning today. And you can find copies of Dr. Doriel's translation at brotherhoodofthewhitetemple.com. Interesting. The complete translation of the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus. So this is the Hermes Trismegistus incarnation, and it was one tablet used by scholars since the Egyptian dispersion until modern times. The following translation comes from Sir Isaac Newton. And there's different translations of this Emerald Tablet. There's a lot of different translations I think I've read and seen at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and just read it real quick. This is the Isaac Newton translation, and I was thinking he had some other translations in this book somewhere too, but I'm not really seeing them, because the later Emerald Tablets, these are the Thoth tablets that we're going to get into next time. This is the Hermes Trismegistus tablet. 1. 'Tis true without error, certain and most true. 2. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below, to do the miracles of one only thing. 3. And as all things have been and arose from one by the mediation of one, so all things have their birth from this one thing by adaptation. The sun is its father, the moon its mother, the wind hath carried it in its belly, the earth is its nurse. The father of all perfection, and the whole world is here. Its force or power is entire if it be converted into earth. Separate thou the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, sweetly with great industry. It ascends from the earth to the heavens, and again it descends to the earth and receives the force of things superior and inferior. By this means you shall have the glory of the whole world, and thereby all obscurity shall fly from you. Its force is above all force, for it vanquishes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. So was the world created. From this are and do come admirable adaptations, whereof the means or process is here in this. Hence I am called Hermes Trismegistus, having the three parts of the philosophy of the whole world. That which I have said of the operation of the sun is accomplished and ended. Interesting. And we'll probably get into a little bit about what's being said in that in the next video. I recommend you do a lot more research on Thoth and Hermes Trismegistus, as that's something on this channel I'm only going to get into just a little bit. I've decided to kind of venture into that topic because he was something I learned about pretty early on in the spiritual path. My buddy Christian, he taught me a lot about Hermes and Thoth and all that stuff, and ended up having some really cool magical manifestations happen, initiatory and otherwise, happening as a result of researching and delving into these things. So when you start to connect to Thoth, when you start to connect your energy with the mercurial energy, you know, the scholar energy, the ancient wisdom of the gods type energy, you're going to start to tap into some real power there. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here, guys. Please be sure to, if you like these videos, subscribe. Please like the video. That way word gets out more. I think it helps people find the videos better if there's more likes on the video. If you hit the bell notification, you will be notified of new videos. I think with YouTube's new algorithm, it's really hard to find the videos you kind of want to watch from the people you're subscribed to unless you hit the bell. You kind of have to go digging for the videos yourself rather than you getting notifications or it popping up in your like YouTube feed that there is a new video that I've done or any of your favorite YouTubers have done that you're subscribed to. Make sure you ring that notification bell if you want to be notified of new videos. So. All right, everyone. There's more work to be done before I do another video. I think there is enough material for me to go ahead and finish up with the Thoth Hermes Trismegistus another day. And then I'm going to finish up my Raphael notes. There's plenty of other videos I could get into too. I could go back to Morals and Dogma. Could get into some more Masonic-oriented stuff. Could stay on the Archangels. I could read a little bit from my book that I'm writing, Freemasonry and Ceremonial Magic. I'm taking it really slow because it's quite a grand process, connecting the worlds between Freemasonry, ceremonial magic, other forms of magic. What are the differences? What are the similarities? A lot of people think they are the same, but they're not really the same, but they kind of blend in with one another. You know, Solomon being the grand wizard, he's the wisest of all men, and that plays into Masonic lore. So they're all kind of one and the same, yet not. It's a lot of different things. So I'm going to jump off here for now. Peace and love, everybody, and take care. Until next time.